the Reggae Star Factor family, and media welcomes you to the Groove Score. This is a live stream at Reggae Star Factor YouTube and Reggae Star Factor Facebook. The date, the 14th of May 2021. The time, 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. Featuring the legendary Little Roy with songs like Bongo Naya. Also songs like Reggae Soul.
People, I've got the reggae soul. People, you will want some more.
Also featuring the legendary Earl 16 with songs like Love Is a Feeling.
I need a love I can feel.
And Holding Back the Years.
Holding back the years, holding back the tears I've had so long.
Also featuring the legendary Eunice Josie with songs like Prizes.
In every day, trust in the Father, He'll guide you on your way. Guidance in every way, teach my people not to go astray.
And also featuring the Queen of the Pack, the Barbara Max with songs like Children of the Most High. Higher meditation.
Higher meditation. Give my man so much inspiration.
This is definitely one not to be missed. Make it a date and don't delay.
Legacy Foundation Global proudly presents the official online launch and fundraising open day for Legacy Foundation Global Community Interest Company, Saturday, 15th of May 2021 at the Legacy Foundation Centre, Talisman House, WD18 OFL, with performances and comedians, guest speakers discussing health, wealth and self-care interventions, young people-led skill sharing sessions, exhibits, giveaways and fundraising activities, plus music by New Attraction, Fifth Avenue, Galflex and DJ Lolly. Streaming online via Facebook and YouTube. £5 online contribution, £20 for VIP live attendance with limited spaces. Please call 07956 041 746 for more info. All proceeds will go to the Legacy Foundation Centre.
Which camera? Good evening, people, and welcome to this week's Struggle to Success and Wellbeing. It's been a great week, and we're giving thanks to be here. This week, we're going to talk about wealth, struggle to success when it comes to wealth. My name is Marlon Morris. I'm joined by two other hosts, Basil Palmer and Kim Thompson. We've got some interesting guests this week, and they've been handpicked. I believe it's a divine appointment. I believe that these people were meant to be here for such a time as this, to share some of their lived life experiences and how they had to get to a place of success, but what struggles they had to go through. And by so doing, we're going to seek to get inspiration, education, and information about how to protect our health and well-being when it comes to finances, creating wealth, and leaving a legacy for our children and children's children. So, my name is Marlon Morris. I'm one of the hosts. I'm going to pass over to Basil, and he can introduce himself. Oh, sorry, Kimberly. Kim, online.
Hello, people. My name's Kim Thompson. I'm the proud founder of United We Rise UK. I'm advocate of supporting small businesses, entrepreneurs, improving relationships with parents, children, families, qualified mentors and coaches, empowering our kings and queens. We actually unite establishments with our Black-owned businesses, institutions, organisations, and educational establishments by collaborating and promoting and utilising services here to empower our community, create economic growth and employment, entrepreneurial, can't say the word, and employment opportunities. We have some fantastic guests on our show today, and thank you very much for joining us. And I'm going to pass you back over to Basil.
Thank you, Kim.
Hi, good evening all. Basil Links here, and it's a pleasure to be here in such esteemed company this week, Milo. So I'm looking forward to today's show where we're talking about wealth and the struggles that our entrepreneurs in our society, in our community, have to challenge and overcome. So it's really going to be an interesting show. Let's have a look at our guests. So we introduce our guest, Mile.
Yes, definitely. As I said, this week, thank you, Basil. This week we're talking about wealth. The scripture says that God wishes above all things that we be in good health, that we prosper, be in good health, even as our soul prospers. So it's a holistic perspective. It's not just about physically or emotionally, but he's very, God is concerned, especially me as a man. I'm concerned about the wealth of my family, especially when I'm no longer here. So we kind of handpicked, the guests, and I just want to introduce one of the first guests we have will be Ewan Briscoe. Now, Ewan Briscoe is, we're just having a family conversation here, and take away the formalities. Ewan, to me, has been, for the time I've known him, like a big brother. He's been a inspiration and example, and he's been a true leader, true man when it comes to things that concern personal development as a man. Over the last 10, 15 years since I've known him, I've seen him in his work capacity as he will talk about it, as a Grand Master of Taekwondo. He's got an academy for young people that not just learn Taekwondo, they learn real life skills. Some of his students have gone on to be astronauts, and all kinds of things in the world. And he will share some of that. He's written a book. He's an author. He's a community leader. So we've got you in here. He's had a real success story, but there's been some struggles, and he will share those. Secondly, we've got Manny Kai. Manny Kai is into finance. He's sales. He's into crypto, multi-level marketing, and a load of other things. And he will share later his struggles to success. Right now, he's doing very well. God's blessed him to be a multi-millionaire. Not that means anything, but that's a byproduct of a plan, a vision, and he's executed that, and he's profited from that, and he's going to share some of his inspirational stories on how he got there. We've got a lovely a lady called Lorraine Cato. Now, Lorraine Cato is like a sister to me. Her mom and her family were like my family, my second family. Mommy Cato, Daddy Cato were like my family. Lorraine I've known since she was a child, really, and I've watched her flourish into an eagle, into a butterfly. She didn't come from a silver spoon in her mouth, but she's become a multi-award-winning gospel singer. She's an MBE. She's a producer. She's a tutor. She's an inspirational speaker. She's a minister. She's a mother, entrepreneur. So many accolades. I can go on and on and on about Lorraine, but she's here to share some of her success stories, but also the struggles. And lastly, but not least, my inspiration from afar since I've been a young person in Tottenham, growing up making a lot of bad choices. I always admired the stories that I heard about this man, and some of the stories would never be told today. But
take it to the grave. Take it to the grave.
This man is I can't really say too much. I'll let him say what he needs to say, but he's been very much he's very apprehensive and very, he said it to me. This is the first time he's ever done anything like this, and for him to do this, I know there's a greater power that's working here. He's going to be sharing some of his success stories, and also balance it out with the struggle. So I'm going to kick it off, jumping right in because time is of this. I want to apologize for the late start. We're just a new show. It's our second series. We're trying to get it right, and by God's grace, it will all come together. But we'll kick it off. We're going to introduce Ewan Briscoe. Ewan, please come in and introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, why you do it.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, my friends. Loreen, Basil, Bogan, my twin. Birthday on the same day. We used to look a little bit more like twins, but COVID.
No bother.
Anyone who knows me just know that this is just for now,
I like the look of you, man.
That's cool.
I was thinking the same thing.
You look like a 25-year-old young man.
Well, you see, that's the reason I came on this program. You could be my agent. Anyway, hi Kim as well. Nice being on the program. But I'm really pleased to come in there because I watched the first few already, and I do like the idea of it. It's not just about life; it's about mental well-being, and I really appreciate being on the program. You want me to tell you a bit about myself? I have to say, as a martial artist, that's not the easiest thing to do because martial arts teaches humility. But I'm gonna. So if you see me, turn mauve because I'm blushing, because it's not really the easiest part for me talking about myself. But I started in the martial arts when I was 11, and I first started in judo, and then I moved on. My dad was all Jamaican boxing champion, so I had no choice but to learn boxing. I could just give a little piece because I know we ain't got much time, but a few bits I've written in my book about that. I did boxing for about. I know you're into boxing as well, Marlo and Basil. I did boxing because I could work the bags and that, and the skipping and all that sort of stuff, and the speed bag. I did it for about 6 months, and then I got in the ring. And all I can remember is when the guy's fist was coming away from my face. Because I just remember this guy so fast. So fast. I thought my nose was broken. But I do remember that he hit me because, training was great. I enjoyed the training and everything. I got in the ring. The guy hit me. I walked out of the ring into the changing room, changed my clothes, went home and told my dad, I'm not doing this no more. That was the end of boxing for me. And, so then one day I was walking through a park and I saw this guy, and it seemed to have feet like hands. I just didn't understand it. In those days, you guys will know, or Basil, you'd know, Bogan, you'd know, Milo, you're just a little younger than us. But in those days, the only thing was judo and boxing for us.
That's right.
I didn't understand how this guy is a Chinese guy, or I thought he was Chinese, Korean, I found out. But he had feet like hands. He was kicking in the past. What is that? And he said to me, it's Taekwondo. And I said, I'd like to try. And cut a long story short, he said to me, you have to ask your parents. You have to bring your dad to see me. I'm going to tell you where the class is. Your dad has to come and see me. I told my dad. Now you have to understand, he'd bought me boxing gloves. At those times, boxing gloves were made out of leather. So they cost a lot of money. And he bought me the shorts and the boots as well. They cost a lot of money. So he took me to the club and he said, this is my son. He wants to start martial arts. He said, yes, I met him in the park and everything and so on and so forth. And he said, if he turns up to class, beat him. If he doesn't turn up to class, beat him. So I had no choice, because what he said is, I'm not going to spend any more money on any equipment for you. So he bought me the gear, and then that was the rest is history. I started training. First few weeks, the first time I got told off, of course I wanted to leave as a youngster. But then I remembered the beating that I might get. So I decided to stay, and the rest is history. From then on, I started to enjoy it, and then it got bigger and bigger. Never thought that I'd be like my instructor one day opening the class. But it happened. I went on and trained and get training, and started to win tournaments, started to win awards. I passed my black belt first Dan in 1976. And then from then I just moved on, and now I'm an 8th Dan, and that's classed as a Grand Master. Done tournaments, traveled all around the world. Some of the countries I've been to, I'd never have dreamt of going to if it wasn't for martial arts. I do remember my first tournament was in Holland. And when we walked out for the tournament, I said, we must be in the wrong place. There's too many people in here. Just so many in the place. And but this was a European Championships. And I managed to actually, because at those times, they would pay your flight and everything and your accommodation, but that was that. So I managed to raise the funds to get my mum to come with me. And I remember looking up in the stands to see if she's there, because I was really frightened. And she just did that through the whole tournament. She didn't actually watch. She didn't watch the tournament. So that was the last time I brought her along. But anyway, I digress. So basically, you know, my life's been like just martial arts, but also the other thing about it is helping young children to fulfill their potential, fulfill their dreams. But it's not just, you don't just teach them martial arts, you also teach them how indomitable spirit, you teach them discipline, self-control, and most importantly, how to walk away from a situation when there's trouble. As Marlon, you can tell, we've spoken about this many times. How to walk away from problems. So after I won a few awards, like I said, it's hard for me to talk about them, but I got Combat Hall of Fame award. And then I started teaching TV's Gladiators. That was a good thing. And then also I've done TV commentary for the Olympics and also for the World Taekwondo Games. And then, like I said, I got my Grandmaster Award. Classes are running really well. But I'm going to tell you there's upsides and downsides, and that's the parts I've written in the book. It was running really well until there was an incident where an incident happened. It wasn't to do with me, but I got the blame. And things were running so well. My classes were packed with students. They were running so well. Then this incident happened. I got arrested for something I didn't do. Now, of course, people believe there's no smoke without fire. At that stage, I had 800 students in 18 different classes. That student base went down to about 10, just like that. But I had the same bills. I had the same mortgage to pay. 10 students. Life just went down like that. And what I want to say, because this is a program, like I said, about mental wealth as well, right? Now, I know I discussed it with you before, Milo. Many people see me and think, Ewan, likes to laugh, likes to joke. I've been out with you guys before. We laugh and we play and we joke a lot. But there was a time when I didn't feel like laughing. Because at the same time that my classes went like that, the man who helped me start this, my father, he got Alzheimer's. Now, he had Alzheimer's for 15 years. So I had this feeling, I didn't know what it was at the time, where I couldn't laugh, smile. I didn't find anything funny that people were saying. But because I was a person who liked to laugh and liked to joke, when I was out, I would make like I want to laugh. I would fake it, if you see what I mean, just for the people around me.
You put on that mask, that persona, because that's what people expected of you. And that's how you.
Exactly that. at the time, I was going through absolute hell, trying to keep my classes running, trying to look after my father, trying to build him up, trying to look after my mum who was looking after my father, trying to deal with that situation. And then, what I realized was that I was depressed. But I didn't know at the time what that was. All I know is that when I came home, it was hard work for me to actually get out of my bed. It was hard work for me to perform in the day, to actually get on with daily work. The only thing that kept me going was going to the class and training. Because as you know, you guys who train, for example, Basil, that boxing training, any type of training, it gives you that euphoria, it gives you the endorphins that make you feel high. So that's the only thing that kept me going. And of course, watching the children grow. You'd get a child come to the class who was so nervous they could barely speak. But after about 3-4 lessons, 5-6 lessons, a month later, they're out in the front of the class helping to teach. That's within a month. So that gave me a lift and gave me a boost and helped me continue. So that being said, I started to move forward, and slowly the classes grew again. And now we're back up to maybe 1,000 odd students, and we're doing really well now.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's basically my story. There's more to it, but I should say there's more to it, but it's all in the book. And, that's,
Aaron, what's the name of your book?
The book is called Kickstart Your Life. Just one second. Sure, bro. The book is called Kickstart Your Life, and it's really about. There's a lot to it as well, because I have to say to you, I'm trying to say this in the way that I don't. Yeah, this is the book in the nicest possible way. It wasn't easy in 1984 is when I started my class as a black man. I mean, that was just one of the downfalls. It wasn't easy as a black man trying to run your own business. Grew up in Lewisham. It wasn't easy. There was so many things going against. Just the normal prejudice on its own, just the normal racism on its own was hard. And then on top of this, I do remember when the situation happened. How can I put this in the nicest possible way? Let me put it another way. I do remember an officer that used to come to my classes and used to be a patron to the class. I'll never forget this. He walked into the class, everybody stopped and bowed. He was a really nice guy. He always used to help out the class. Chap behind him, one of his staff, when he saw everybody stop and bow and I walked in, he goes, "How comes that guy's got so much power? What's that all about?" And that was a little signal to me what this world is about. You know what I mean? So in the end, I got through, and I built my classes back up again. I live with depression. When I mean I live with it, just like an alcoholic lives with alcohol. Someone who stopped drinking, they still call themselves an alcoholic. I have to say I live with depression. However, I manage it really well now. I know how to deal with it.
You've got your own coping mechanisms that get you through.
Yeah. So when I feel that edge coming,
you know what to do.
Yeah. And like I said, Taekwondo has done really well to help me.
Well, I know with Taekwondo, because my daughter is actually a black belt second dan.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I put the kids in there, because of the actual discipline itself. So that can help change your mindset.
That's right. Yeah.
Fantastic. So if anybody wants to find out more about his story, go buy the book.
Well, the story, not just about. I'm going to make sure that you come along and be my PR from now on.
The director that we're working with, we're going to buy some of your books. We're going to buy 10 of your books to give to these young people on the launch of the Legacy Centre on the 15th of May. Yeah. You talked about loss when you was accused of something that you didn't do, and that resulted in the loss of from your classes going from 800 to 10, but you still had the same bills, responsibility, and all that. How did you come back from that?
Well, I just had to reinvent myself. Really, that was what I had to do. I had to get heavily into the marketing. I had to just decide that's happened. I can't wallow in it. Which is what I was doing first. I have to admit. I can't.
But you do that. You do want to, and you know what? You're allowed to, but you need to get yourself out of it again.
Yeah, I was upset with the world at the time, and like I said at the time as well, my dad had Alzheimer's. The nicest guy in the world, always helping out people. I could tell you a little history about my dad and my mum. My mum was a person who I know all of you know about sickle cell anemia research, where she started that the program OSCAR. Organization Sickle Cell Anemia Research. Mum and dad always helping people in the community. When the problem happened, they had no help. And when my dad had his Alzheimer's, they weren't around. That hurt a little bit for me as well. I felt that. But then I said to myself, then I always remember one of the statements my dad's made. He said, "Don't judge people by yourself." And people never remember where the food comes from after they swallowed. So if you balance your life on just that, you'll always feel down. So I started to pick myself up and started to work with who's my friends, and I knew exactly who my friends were. And slowly I started to build the classes up again. I had a few favors from people that I've helped their children in the past, and some of them are in marketing, and they showed me how to market the class better than I was doing before. And then gradually I started to build the classes up, and this is where we are now. And I'm not looking back. At the moment, I'm even in a position where I can almost semi-retire. I remember I was talking to you, Bogan, about that a while back. I'm getting ready to just have a seat. Well, I was in that position, and then COVID came.
Wow.
I was just putting my feet up. Literally, I just had to just appear at my classes, come there, have a look, grade them, go to another class, come there, have a look, grade them, say hello to the children, Then COVID came. I've never worked so hard in my life.
So
really.
let me ask you something, Ewan. COVID came because remember you got the classes. COVID came. How did you guys adapt to COVID and keep the class? Did you do something to keep the classes going? Because I know some people do it online.
You see what we did now? Zoom. I never even knew what Zoom was. I knew you could do FaceTime. I didn't even. Someone said, "Are you on Zoom yet?" I said, "Who?" I didn't know what it was. In 1 week, I learned Zoom. Just had to learn it. And I'll tell you how. One of the little youngsters in my class
showed you how.
So I said to him, how's this Zoom work? He goes, don't you know? I said, of course I know. Just to make sure you know. So he explained to me how it works and everything, and then gradually I started to pick it up, and then within weeks we started running the classes by Zoom, and we just had a camera, in this literally in my studio here. And we just ran the classes from here, and we joined with the other instructors in their houses, and we and the thing about it is you have to keep it lively, because remember those children all day they've had the online lessons.
That's right.
And they're bored of it. So we had to keep it lively. So you had literally become a performer. And I remember the first week of Zoom classes, I was tired is an understatement. I used to crawl out of it. I was really, worn out. But as you get used to it, it gets easier and easier. And another statement I always make is everything's difficult until it becomes easy. And it became easy. And, but I have to say, I'm kind of glad that we're kind of opening up now. But the benefit of Zoom is that I can be here just like a man in his shop and watch all my classes. So that's the upside. There's an upside to everything, so I can be here and watch how they're doing and, encourage them. Yeah.
So, brother Ewan, man.
Yeah.
What's your inspiration? Like, what kind of gave you that focus and drive to just build and build on what you were doing?
To start it or to continue?
No, to continue. And, a lot of people start things
Yeah.
and they don't kind of see it through. But what
Yeah.
gave you that inspiration to really make your business as big as it's turned out to be?
I think I'm fortunate that my mum and dad were both business-minded people. They've always had that business mind, to the extent where my mum used to give us pocket money for a month, and if it's spent, it's spent. So we learned about money management from early on.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad had a never quit attitude. Don't quit anything, see it to the end. So I think that's the driving. I have to be honest with you, the driving thing for me is always on this shoulder. What would your dad think and what would mum think? God rest their souls, they're both gone now. But that's always kept me motivated, number one. But number two, just as important, I kind of touched on it earlier on, it's when I see those children, they start off very quiet child, or they start off rude child that need discipline, or they start off a child with, say, Asperger's. 4 years down the road, they're a black belt and they're running the class with me.
Wow.
That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me going, just to see that. And then as I'm getting older now, I'm 63 now.
What?
63. But as I get a little old, as I'm getting to this age now, also when children that I've taught, they're bringing their grandchildren to my class. That's a beautiful thing for me, and that's Basil. That's what keeps me going.
So the time where you practically lost, I won't say lost everything, but it went down from the 800 to the 10.
Yeah.
You had to keep on going, not just for them, but for yourself.
For myself,
you had to keep on going.
Yeah. And by then, I did consider it at one stage. I did consider, driving. I could drive. Did consider to become a cabbie. My actual occupation was a graphic designer. My occupation, but I was a graphic designer when you had Letraset. See, if anyone younger is watching this, they probably wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's a long.
Letraset is where you literally have to put a transfer of each letter on the page. Now it's just you just type it. So by that time, I couldn't. That job was gone for me. I'd have to retrain in it. And I knew martial arts was what I was good at. But the graphic design helped me with advertising. I could do my own. And like I said, the marketing side, that was once I had friends who helped me with that, but it was easy. I found it easy. And then I'll be honest with you, just being nice to people. That I do believe the good things you do follow you. I do believe this.
That's it. Karma. Bad or good comes back for you.
I do believe that. So just helping people and hoping one day it will come back. But to answer your question fully, it's just to see people inspired. I just get a kick out of that, seeing children grow and people inspired, and the adults as well in the class. Some of them come there, for example, with a bit of a temper, bit of an attitude, and 4 or 5 months that's calmed down. Some of them come there shy. A few months they become confident.
I do believe people should send their kids to some kind of martial arts, and that's strictly for the discipline and the mindset and the mental the well-being, because it does, like you say, it changes their.
I've had parents, for example, they've said to me, can you send my son, the book? They're in prison. They said to me, can I? And a couple of times I've sent it to them. They said, can you sign it? I said, no. When they come out, I'll meet them and sign it. I want them to read it first, and when they come out, I'll meet them. And I've had a few of them. I've started to mentor them. I met them at the prison. They've come out, start training with me, and like I said in the book, it's about not giving up or not giving in to the in crowd. Because let me tell you, when I first started doing Taekwondo, Everybody was doing boxing or judo. I remember a guy come in the gym one time in school and said, "What's that, ballet?" I could have given up. I could have given up.
What do you
Same
say?
guy. He goes, "What's that you doing, ballet?" You know. So, and they thought it was foolishness, and then obviously there came the time when everybody was out in the street. You know, everybody was out, and when they're out in the street doing what they're doing, I had to be going training because I had a tournament or something like that. And gradually, those friends went down to a few. I got my black belt and I started to become a champion, and then the classes started growing. Now I walk down, for example, through Lewisham, and every 2 minutes I stop and someone will go to his son, yeah, I used to train him, yeah, good friend of mine. They weren't. I'll say to my son, yeah, your dad's right, yeah, and he used to train me, yeah. I don't want to break his will. I don't want to make him.
Yuri, let me ask you a few more questions because it's important. How did you turn your passion into profit? And how did you get around the right people to kind of keep you on track and keep you motivated?
Yeah. That was with. I think the best answer to that is I had a few mentors. My instructor, number one, he is a good mentor to me, and he explained to me that. Well, first he let me know because I used to say to him, "Well, I wish I could have more black belts like you, as many black belts." He said, "Yeah, more black belts, more problems." So I accepted that, number one. But also he said to me that don't be scared to earn a living out of what you enjoy. Don't be scared to earn a living because when friends first came there, I used to literally let them owe me money because they were friends. But after a while, it became ridiculous. I might as well have been paying them to come. You know, so that was the answer he gave me. I remember I spoke to my dad about it one time. I said, this friend of mine, his son's coming to my class, he's not paying me, you know, I want the money. My dad said to me, listen very carefully what I'm going to say to you, son. He said, money has no friends, money has no manners, money has no discipline, money don't even have religion. Go and get your money. So that taught me that you have to have a nice balance between friendship and business. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what made me realize I had to now start making this thing, my passion, work for me. But I do believe, as Basil can probably tell you as well, if you have a passion for something, or if you want to make money, do something you're passionate about.
That's right.
That's something I always tell my kids. Do something that you're passionate about because you put your all into it, because you want to.
Yeah, and I'd say it's very rare that people get rich mentally and physically, monetarily, working for someone else. You have to work for yourself.
100%.
You can't. They can't.
Remember,
really
a lot of people go to work because they have to, not because they want to.
That's
when you're
right.
doing something that you're passionate about it, you want to do it.
Yeah.
And you put your all into it.
Even all through the struggles I've had, you know, to get where I am today. Even my brother will ring me up and say, "How you doing, bruv?" I say, "I'm good, man. I wake up and I play taekwondo." And then I go to bed. So I enjoy what I do. What I do is a game. You know, it's fun. I enjoy what I do. There is hard work to it, but I dictate how hard I work. The harder I work, the more I get paid. I do remember a guy said to me one day, "You're so lucky doing this martial arts and traveling around the world." And I said, "Yeah, the harder I work, the luckier I get." That's a fact.
Well, they do say that luck is a combination of opportunity and hard work.
Yeah,
that's the equation. So
there you go.
100% get where you're coming from. But it's been a really interesting conversation, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased that you chose to share your experiences. So We're going to stay on the show because we're going to move on to our next guest now.
Well,
But
thanks for having me.
thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, brother. Yes.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Stay on because
Everybody who's watching, good evening.
yeah, don't leave us though, please.
Oh no, I'm staying. I'm staying.
All right. So our second guest, we're going to invite to the panel, to the stage, our lovely queen of gospel, Loreen Cato.
Where shall I look? I don't know which camera. Okay, yeah. Hi, I'm Loreen Cato. I come from quite a large family. So this whole thing about wealth and all that, I was thinking more about the wealth of knowledge and the wealth of knowing who you are, you know. And I think once you know who you are, you're able to give with integrity, and give and be genuine, and give and be real, and give true love to people. And I think it's for a very powerful thing. So let me start from the beginning about who I am, where I come from. So my story starts from when I was in my mother's womb, and I was going to be my mum's 9th child. And the doctor said, if you have this child, you're going to die. You have to abort this child. You know, my mum was a very powerful woman in the Lord. And, you know, she weren't going to listen to the doctor. The doctor went as far as going to my mum's pastor and said, tell Mrs. Cato she needs to abort this child. And, of course, she ignored because I'm here. And she had 2 other children after that, you know. So there's 11 of us. You know, my mum only passed away 2008, I believe. And so I was brought up in church, singing from my eyes were at my knees. You know, I was just, they used to put me on tables and chairs in church because they had this big voice, but they couldn't see me. So, and then people used to give my mum loads of money and everything because of my singing. From the age of 8, I put myself into singing competitions. From the age of 9, I was doing radio jingles for BBC Radio with my sisters, because the 5 of us used to sing as well. And from the age of, I think, 13, a major label company came to sign me. And I turned it down because I thought I didn't want to end up like all the pop artists out there. There's a go on stage, do tours, but end up in rehab. And I thought, what's the point? What's the point of doing that? But I also loved the Lord very much. So I decided that I want to get baptized and serve the Lord and do all of that kind of thing. And so if anyone used to say to me, you know, Loreen, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wouldn't really know what I want to be because I always sang. So I just thought it was a part of singing was like eating, walking for me. And so as time went on, you know, something really terrible happened to me. I was groomed and then eventually molested for years and years and years. And it just seemed like something that happened on the side and was just a different world. Couldn't explain it. So at school, you know, I used to, though I was quite popular in school, there was an angry side of me because I didn't understand that what was happening to me was relating to what I was going through. So I used to have fights and all that kind of thing and get excluded now and then. And, you know, I got bored of fighting girls because they used to rip hair and everything like that, tear out your hair and scratch. And I thought, give me the boys, man. My brothers taught me how to fight. So I was just, well, you know, my brothers. You know, I started to fight the boys and everything. Oh, it was just terrible. But in pain. And didn't know I was in pain, you know. Yeah. And so it affected my learning and doing better in school, you know. So as time went on, still singing. I used to sing in school, that kind of thing. I just did normal jobs, working in like Harrods and Selfridges and things like that, and then became a PA in hospitals for professors and all that kind of thing, but still broken, and didn't know it. And then one day I landed this job. I was working for the #1 jewelry company in the world, at Harvey and Navy, I think. No, Army and Navy. And I thought, if I could get a job like this, being a manager for this, I could go into singing full time. So I knew some people and friends that were doing, they were working with top artists and everything. And they always said, Louis, when are you going to come and do some backing singing for some stars? And eventually I did it. And some people said to me, oh, if you do it, you're going to work for 6 months and there's no work for another 6 months. But I said to him, but I'm good though. And I just continued doing it, and I never stopped working. I was touring with Mary J. Blige,
Wow.
Kylie Minogue, been on tour with Luther Vandross and Justin Timberlake, Mariah Carey, P. Diddy, Pharrell Williams, Missy Elliott. I toured like the world, and just lived a very lavish life, but still broken, didn't know, went into relationships where one guy, he told me what to wear, how to do my hair, when to laugh, and that's because of how
narcissistic behavior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Louis.
I was thinking, where's that
It's just ringing bells. It's me, Kim, it's me. But yeah, no, going back to what you were saying, narcissistic behavior, but there's a lot of people that don't realise that is going through.
That is what's happening. And of course, this thing is following me. So I was thinking, then I went into a relationship where, I had a boyfriend that he raped me repeatedly and beat me up, and sometimes beat me up on the street, and I would stop people from helping me because I didn't want them to get hurt, One time he beat me up so bad, left me in an alleyway in central London, and I didn't have any money to get home, and I literally begged the bus driver to please let me go on the bus for free. He just about allowed me to go on the bus for free, It was mad. It was crazy what I was going through. And I remember one time, it was so bad, I took a 149 all the way to London Bridge, planning to end my life. Because I just thought, what is the point of being here? What is the point of continuing life when it's worthless? And I felt worthless, And I remember sitting on the bus on my way there, and I saw someone that I knew, and we said hi like it's normal, like nothing's going to happen, like I'm not planning anything. And they said, hi, how you doing? You just don't know who you meet. Sometimes we see people think, I ain't say hello to them today, I'm just going to act like I don't see them. You don't know if they need to hear hi. You don't know if they need to hear something from you that might stop them, But it didn't stop me. I went to London Bridge, went on the banks, and during this time, there wasn't a lot of cameras about. So I went on the banks, there was hardly anyone there. And I remember standing right at the edge, and as I was just about to jump, I remember it was a cold night, I had a big coat on, and I was just about to jump, and I heard this small voice say, if you jump, you're going to float because you're wearing a puffer jacket. And I went, okay, I best not jump then. And I knew that was God speaking to me. I knew that was his voice, and but it didn't stop me. I tried tablets, I tried so many things, and until eventually, living this life of depression, I remember when my children were born, my 2 little ones, and they were so small, and I just couldn't remember anything cute that they done. And I remember I was in this 1-bedroom flat. Now, I'll say to you, I did well financially, being a backing singer, traveling the world. It is ridiculous how well I was doing. But I came to a stage that the money did not help my happiness. The money didn't mend the broken pieces. it just didn't do anything. And
Can I
so,
ask you, Lorraine? I want you to talk about the actual day that in your mind it's like a revelation that, you know what, something's got to change. I've got to do something to change because I've been hurting. Like you said, you were doing good. I'm talking monetary wise, that kind of thing. But inside, you've had your kids now.
yeah.
What was it that actually in your head, something's got to change? I've got to do something. What was it?
I remember it so well. I was in, like I said, I think it was a 2-bedroom flat that I was in. And I remember I sat down, I looked at my kids, I was spaced out. Literally, my phone would ring with my family saying, "Lorraine, you okay? Why didn't you answer your phone? You made it ring 3 times and we just want to know if you're okay." I'm fine. Literally on suicide watch, you know? And I remember looking up to God. And I don't know how I said this because I was depressed. I was oppressed. I was every depressing word you can find. You know, I don't know how I said it out of my mouth, but I said, God, just help me to be a true Christian. That's all I said. I didn't said, God make me happy, God make me this, make me that. I just said, just help me to be a true Christian. That's what I said. And then from that day, that moment, I remember he said to me, we're going to take it one day as it comes. I'm going to help you. And I remember, you know, I remember I was getting offers, oh my gosh, £1 million of offers from people that wanted me to be a front singer for top bands like Massive Attack, Brand New Heavies. Can you be the front singer? And I turned it all down. They were about to do big stadium tours. And like millions, you know, and I turned it all down because I need to not let my past be my future.
Right. You'd got to that stage where
I've got
something's
to
got
that
to
stage.
change.
It had to change.
And
You know,
what did you actually do? What steps did you take to put that change into action?
well, I just, you know, for me, it's a God story because that's who saved my life. You know,
Yeah.
um, you know, he taught me how to talk to him. That I didn't have to just kneel down and fall asleep at the bed, which always happened. But talk to him, and he will talk back to me, and he told me how to, you know, take care of my children. And of course I had a praying family, but they at the time didn't quite understand the deal with my situation. And so, to cut a long story short, it was a process, and I also had counseling. Now I know some
Right.
people, oh, you know,
The
counseling's not for me.
stigma, you're
Yeah,
weak,
it's not for
you're
me.
failure.
It's not gonna. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna take away my drive. It's gonna
Yeah.
take away. No. See, counseling lets you see the future. Counseling gives you hope. Counseling makes you go forward. When you don't do it, you stay right there. You have bitterness, you have unforgiveness. And trust me, that's another thing that God helped me with is forgiving the people that hurt me. All those that, because it was more than one person that molested me as well. But all
But you're
those that,
giving that forgiveness. That forgiveness is for you, not for them. You're forgiving
yeah,
yourself. That's what it
yeah,
is.
absolutely. And that helped me. And as time went on, I started to see where I was going regarding my future in what am I going to do with this now? This after, and I literally I came out of the business of music for 5 years and just looked after my children. And then during the 5 years, I started to see God was showing me where what He wanted me to do. He said, now that you're healed and everything, now you're going to go out there and you're going to sing to the brokenhearted. And I went, I don't want to go back out there singing. I want to, because I was taking in mothers with their children. I was taking in mothers with their children that were on antidepressants and everything because I was helping them. And then they'll stay in my house for about 3 months or 6 months, and then they'll come off the tablets, and then I send them on their way. And I was enjoying that. He said, no, you're going out there. And so he would start to give me songs. And one of the first songs that I wrote was You Revive Me, which gave me my MOBO. And in fact, when I got nominated for a MOBO, you're supposed to have an album to be nominated. I just had one single,
Right.
and that got me the MOBO.
Wow.
And to be honest, you know, God was showing me from before. He actually told me what is going to happen. He actually told me you're going to get awards. But I knew the awards were the doors to go and help people, because he said you're going out there to heal the brokenhearted. Now, and also, so I got the MOBO. I knew it was doors, extra doors, and of course, you know, the press was on me. Everything was on me, and it opened. And I was getting other awards, and every award was a step closer to helping people. So going into prisons, and now that's a big step. Going into prison, speaking to men that abused me.
That's interesting. I was just thinking, how is it that you're able to go into the prisons and minister and help and heal the men that hurt you? How do you do that?
That came with forgiveness. Forgiveness is not a feeling; it's a choice. People are thinking that of forgiveness, you get this big feeling. No, it's a choice. And because, you know, sometimes you're with a group of friends and there's always one person in the group that don't talk things like this, because you know how she gets, so you know how they get. You know, they get bitter and all that. That's because of past hurt that's still on you. I didn't want that on me. And so God helped me to forgive men and forgive, you know, all those that hurt me, and forgave myself. So I was able to go into prison, which at first was scary for me, and I was wondering why they wasn't walking around with handcuffs. It's like, Lorraine, you're in their territory now. And so when I started to share my story to them and also sing to them, I started to get a reputation, because a lot of guys that they tried to break and tried to stop fighting in the prisons and all that, I will come in, my voice and how I speak and everything will calm them right down, and they will cry.
I can bear witness to that. I struggle with anger a lot. Every time I hear you sing, it brings a calm to me. It's therapeutic, your voice. In fact, you sent me a voice note the other day, and it was a song. And I played the song, and I had a good night's sleep. So you definitely got a voice for people like myself who struggle with anger and violence and all that. But going back to, you said forgiveness is an attribute to is a byproduct of wealth, of your wealth.
Yeah.
That you would like to leave as a legacy, forgiveness. Yeah. Right. How do you forgive?
It's a process.
You say it's a choice, but how?
It's a choice.
What practical ways can you advise, say, people that are struggling with forgiveness?
Okay, well, I'm just going to tell you how God instructed me. He told me to read Matthew chapter 5, 6, and 7. And you know the time when in the Old Testament, when you hear about Moses bringing out the tablets of all the things that you can't do. Thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that, all these kind of things. Everyone said, well, that's old, you know, that's back then. Well, Jesus just reminded us in the New Testament that I'm going to show you the ethos of a Christian. And God told me he wanted me to read all those scriptures about what not to do or how to love people, how to do this. And he started to show me, he said, Lorraine, some things you won't feel like it's you, but still read it. And I'm telling you, from the time when I saw the first three verses about loving people, forgiving and all this kind of thing, something broke. I can't explain it. I can't even tell you how to, but something broke inside of me, like chains, because sometimes when you go through stuff, the enemy wants to hold you back so that you never progress or prosper for your future. And so when I decided to accept the fact that God's forgiven me, and I asked him to forgive me, and so now I can forgive myself and love others, it broke. And I'm telling you, every step that I took in my career was all about healing the broken. That didn't just mean women, that also meant men, that also meant any person that's going through stuff that is not my color or whatever gender, whatever. And so that's what I ooze out of me. That was my wealth.
I love that. Before we pass on, because we got to have you come on a whole show. It's not fair that we're restricted by time, you know. But we're gonna get to a place where we have our own building, and we don't have to have more time restrictions, you know. But
Yeah, the show's not long enough. The show's just not long
hold
enough.
on, please, because I know. I just want you to, in song, just minister a couple of words to encourage somebody to leave a legacy of forgiveness, of resilience, and whatever song. I'm not telling you whatever song, but if you could just minister to us for a couple of minutes, whatever, in song, just use a gift, because I feel it's such a powerful one. You know what I'm saying? You've got words, but you've got also a talent. And if you could just share something in song, whatever comes to your spirit.
Okay. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand has provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
I got goose pimples, man. Blah, 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 blah,
Why
blah.
you listeners? You need to get CD, Lorraine CD with a cup of Milo and go to your bed. All right. So,
Lorraine, fantastic. I got goose pimples, man. I got goose pimples, girlfriend. Wicked, wicked, wicked. But you know what? You're going back to your forgiveness. We're gonna go to the next one. A lot of people, they have to find that inside them, like you said, that voice that said to you, because a lot of people are still going about their business. And you know what? I'm one of those people. I'm not even going to go into my story, yeah, because that's another show. But I'm one of those people that find it very, very hard to forgive past. I've got my 2 kids, and just having the kids showed me how unconditional love is. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can relate to you being molested. I've been molested myself. You understand what I'm saying? But you've got a lot of people, a lot of broken people going through life with not finding that forgiveness. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. Yeah, fantastic. I still got goose pimples, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Back over to you, my love.
Beautiful. You want to introduce them?
Yeah, so that was amazing, sis. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, well, definitely have to find one of your albums, so all of your albums, so I can add it to my collection. Now, our next guest I'd like to introduce, I have to call him Mr. Yeah, because this man I've known for a number of years, and he has been an inspiration. So as a businessman, you know, everybody has inspirations, and this is one of my inspirations. So, Mr. Bogan, please, I'd like to introduce you to the show.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Well, yeah, my name is David Bogan. I think it's very unfair that I should come on after a performance like that. I've got absolutely.
Very unfair.
But, you know, I really appreciate what you shared with us, and it's inspired me, I think. Okay, so my story's completely different. I was brought up in Stoke Newington, Hackney, and I had a troubled life, I would say, in the early years of my life, and I left home and school at the age of 13. So fell into a life of crime as well. And each night, I can remember that I wouldn't know where I'd be, each day I wouldn't know where I'd be sleeping in that night. And I just put my faith in God, and friends helped me. They would put me up. I remember also a good friend of mine, I won't name names, but they know who they are. A good friend of mine used to sneak me in at night, and he would be sleeping on top of the bed, and I'd be under the bed with the dust mite, and he'd throw his covers over so the parents didn't know I was there. So one thing led to another. Like I said, as time went on, I was doing all sorts of things, and I got into petty crime, and I would build myself up, and then all of a sudden I'd lose everything, hit rock bottom. And I said, what's going on? This is not how it's supposed to be. And then I come to the conclusion that the things that I was doing was wrong. And then with karma, you got ill-gotten gains, you're not going to keep them. So after a while, I started saying, right, I need to get out of this. I need to get into business. And my uncle saw what I was doing, and he said, right, okay, let's open an estate agents. And this was back in 1984. So I said, all right. I had a bit of money around me, put the money in, and we started the estate agents. And I knew nothing. I thought he was going to be the one to run the estate agents and show me. Like he said, you must be joking. I got my day job in Islington Council. You get in there and you learn the business. And we'd done the shop up nice, but we'd run out of money. And we had a desk there and only one chair. And I thought, well, I'm here. So I took the chair, and people would come into the shop and ask, can you do this? Can you do that? And I would say, yeah, of course you can. Of course I can. I didn't know anything. And then I would call other estate agents and say, look, I'm new in the area. Help me out. This person wants this, blah, blah, blah. And one or two of them helped me. And then we got this property through my uncle, an African chief somewhere, sent in the property. And it was a house in Willesden, a detached house in Willesden. So he said, right, we got this house, sell it. I'm thinking, who do I know to buy this house? I don't know anything about marketing, advertising, or anything like that. And I thought, who could buy this house? And back then we used to go clubbing, QBs, and there was we all used to go down there, and there's the owner, Tommy, a white man. He was the only person I could think who could even possibly have the kind of money to buy that house. And after that, I was lost. So 1,000,000 to 1 shot. I spoke to him. I said, Tommy, we've got a house and blah, blah, blah. I just expected him to, just dismiss it. But he said, how much they want for the house? I said, 450 grand. That was back in 1984. And he goes, okay, tell him I want to see the house. So I set up the arrangement. He went in the house. I stayed outside the house. I didn't bother going. I thought this is a waste of time, but it's my only shot, so give it a shot. Anyway, he came out the house and he goes, offer them 400. I said, what? He said, offer them 400. I said, who's going to take £50,000 loss? You understand, on their house? He goes, well, that's what I'm prepared to pay. Offer them 400. We put the offer through. Lo and behold, the people accepted. my very first check in the estate agent's business, 1984, £9,500. I said, wow.
You're rich.
This is it. This is it. I no longer need to be on road. This is the one for me. So I kind of like had one foot in, one foot out. But I said to God, I'm getting out of the game and I'm going straight in estate agent's business. So next thing happened, let's just say my past caught up with me. And then I was arrested, on remand, and my estate agency's open. And I couldn't believe it. And I said to God, if nobody in this world believes that I was giving up this life and going straight, you know, God, if nobody else knows. And I spoke to him and I begged him, I said, get me out of this, and I promise you I will never, ever, turn to crime again. And 3 days later, something came from the High Court and I got bail. And that was the biggest sign to me. He'd answered my prayers. And I said, well, he's done his bit. I have to stick by what I said. So from that, I never looked back. And after that, I bought my first house. And then after my first house, I bought a bed and breakfast. I went from a house to a bed and breakfast.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the crash came. 91, 92. So I divorced and opened a nightclub and a nail salon, but I still had bits and pieces. And then the bed and breakfast, I spent a lot of money doing it up, thinking we could make it a care home. But what happened, the council pulled out on me. And I was going down. When I say I was going down, I had no more options. All the money had finished, and looked like I was going to lose it. And me and my wife, I said to her, you know what? We're going down. There's £500 left. What do you want to do? So let's go shopping. She said, so let's go shopping. So we went to what's that place where they do wardrobes, but Magnet.
Okay.
Magnet. We went to Magnet and booked the guy to come round. And he said, what? So he came around in the evening. He said, what do you do for business? I said, well, nothing much. I'm about to go out, go under. And he said, why? And I told him about the bed of breakfast. So then he made a call to a friend. He said, a friend of mine's looking for something like that. I said, well, he can have it. Yeah. And then he put me on touch with the person. The person goes, look, I deal with Westminster and we deal with a lot of asylum seekers, people are destitute. And why don't you phone them up and tell them you'll house them for £20? He gave me the number. I phoned them up, and a long story short, they came down, rushed down, all different departments, sanctioned it, and next thing I know, my building was full. I went to look for this man to thank him, and he was gone. He was like an angel.
Wow.
Couldn't find him anywhere. And we went from there to my building full to peaking. At one time, we were housing and feeding, clothing about 400 people. We started building the empire from then. And after that, I started a property club and started teaching people how to acquire property and how to build wealth. We built that up to over 1,000 people. And yeah, one thing led to another, and we never looked back. And it's funny how you guys were talking about, you know, you get to a stage and then you lose, you know, things. So I got to my 50th birthday and I thought, well, I've made it, done it. Went away on holiday, and then with my friends, and while I was on holiday, the banks came after me, basically for teaching our people how to acquire a lot of property with a little bit of money. And they seize a lot of our properties.
Oh my goodness.
Big time. So they seized 80 properties. Yeah. And all of a sudden, everything that we'd worked for and built up was gone. So, and I was away when they did that. And I came back and took on the fight, and it was the government. Yeah. And we fought them, and in the end, got every single one of them back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the journey has been a tough one. I've just sped over it, and now the next part of my journey, I just want to help others. So you know, we've
talk about the CGC. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we've set up CGC. It's a group of men from all over the place, with all different walks of life, and people who have done well for themselves, people in music backgrounds, coming from all different backgrounds. And it started in the COVID thing. It started of somewhere to go for respite for men. Gentleman named Saeed and Michael Simons and myself started it, and it was working well, but it's transformed since then into something with much more meaning. So the members all contribute, say £10. Not all of them, but a lot of members contribute £10 a month, and that's all for charitable causes. And then apart from the monthly subscription, we have whip rounds for individual causes as well. And we've helped a number of small charities. And what we do, we try to make sure that the money goes directly to the people and not to some big organization to get lost in administration costs and things like that. And we make sure we see the end result and the smile on the people's faces who we're trying to help. And getting a lot of personal satisfaction from that. And we're growing. So now we're like 150 strong. And everybody in the organization gives their time, energy, and focus, all free. And, you know, people bring different things, and where they can help, they will help. So, for example, we had a whip round the other day for the St. Vincent Disaster Fund. And in 3 days, we'd raised £4,000. And then after that,
Christmas, you raised over 15 grand, didn't it?
Yes, over Christmas we raised over 15,000 for charitable causes. We were administering them to different causes. But what I liked about the St. Vincent Fund, not just that we raised the money, but members after that ensured they went out, took their time out, bought the supplies, packaged it up, arranged the logistics, and got it all off to exactly where it should go. So it's not just about money. They put their time, love, and energy into the group, and it's free for anyone to join. You have to be recommended by somebody in the group. If anyone's interested, I can provide a number afterwards and whatever. But it's a really good thing. And, you know, you have some members in the group who can maybe put £5,000 down by themselves, but it's not about that. It's about what we can do collectively and what we can achieve and the power of unity. And so, for example, if £5,000 is given to one charity, each member may have only put £10 or £50 or whatever it is, but they can all feel equally proud that they contributed to that. And as a combination of all the donations, £10 became £5,000. You know,
Fantastic.
So that's where we are right now.
You need your own show, and I pray to God an opportunity will come. And I know this is your first time, and time is very that we've come to the end of the show, and I feel so much questions I wanted to ask, and I pray that God gives us another opportunity. But I just want to thank you, and I want to definitely keep the door open, the invitation open for another time when it's the right time. But there's so much that I'm sure our audience want to ask as well. Doreen, I just want to thank you as well. As a big sis, every time you sing, it's like it arrests my spirit, arrests my soul, and makes me start to really reflect and start to try to do better within myself. So thank you. Ewan, I want to thank you as well, Briscoe.
Thanks for having me.
For your one thing about the common denominator between all of you is that you all living your passion, you're living your purpose, you're profiting from your purpose. You are unique in the sense that I don't know anybody like you guys. You know what I'm saying? There's no second Ewan, there's no second David, there's no second Loreen. You built your own empires. You're a living legend, and you every day you get up, you're adding to your legacy. Yeah, and now it's just free flowing. It's just on automatic. So it's an inspiration to me. I still got a whole lot of homework to go and do. And I thank you guys. Just want to thank Basil, co-host, and lovely Kim Thompson. Thank you so much. And our production, our producer, Media Net. Thank you for the and our young man Will for the extras, the videoing and the filming and all that. So once again, God bless you, everybody. I don't know if you have final thoughts you wanted to come in.
Yeah, definitely, David. You have to come back. Yeah? Because this, I've got a whole list of things.
There was a lot that I left out. There was a lot that I left out.
I mean, I know we've run out of time, but I think when I was growing up, there was lots of role models in my community. They weren't necessarily businessmen, but they were upstanding men, you know, took care of their families.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't go out there and floss. Yeah, they were just regular first generation African and Caribbean men. And a lot of them taught us in the community how to be men. Now, somewhere along that line, fast forward 50 years or 40 years, society's changed. And, you know, now when I look around, real role models, there's not that many, you know, because people are stuck in on to get rich quick schemes. Everybody's kind of for themselves, and, you know, everybody wants to drive a big car, or, you know, they probably want to turn to crime or whatever. Yeah. So I think that when we do come across someone that's worked from the community, from grassroots, and done well, there are so many people out there that want to know, like, what skills do you need? You know, what's the process? I get people asking me, and I know there's lots of people that will ask you.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a great platform to actually give people real insight. Yeah, because one thing that you said earlier on was you don't get financial freedom by working for somebody.
That's right.
Yeah. And so giving people the encouragement and the example of how you go out there and make a business out of your talent or out of your dream, I think it's vital. That's how we're going to set up the next generation. So you have to come back, Mr. Morgan.
Okay.
You have to visit us again. But I know time's run short. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming on. It's been
you.
a real pleasure.
Yeah.
And
Kim, did you have something final for?
Yeah, again, you're definitely coming back. Okay.
In the next one, I'll tell them how to do it.
that's
Yeah,
right.
no, your stories are inspirational to people because we need to be teaching, especially our younger ones now that are going to be our future kings and queens. We need to be teaching them and showing them that by changing, whether it be a mindset, you
right.
can, Whereas right now they think they can't. You're showing them that they can, and not only that, they're seeing it from somebody that looks like them.
Yes.
Do you understand? So this is a perfect platform for that, and thank you guys so much for sharing your knowledge, your ups and downs, and letting people know that, like I said, you can. And collectively, you are all doing something and giving back to the community, which this is what we are supposed to be doing: uniting with each other, collaborating with each other, supporting each other, teaching our younger ones that, you know what, with hard work, the right kind of mindset, you can achieve and aspire to be anything that you want to be. So thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back over to you,
I
Milo.
just want to say thank you. Please get Ewan's book. Reach out to Ewan. His details are at the bottom of the screen. And look out for David's book coming soon. Documentary and the movie. Yeah? And I might star in the movie.
Yeah, David, I want to play you.
God bless you. Have a great evening. I'll see you next.
Thank you.
Legacy Foundation Global proudly presents the official online launch and fundraising open day for Legacy Foundation Global Community Interest Company, Saturday, 15th of May 2021 at the Legacy Foundation Centre, Talisman House, WD18 OFL, with performances and comedians, guest speakers discussing health, wealth and self-care interventions, young people-led skill sharing sessions, exhibits, giveaways and fundraising activities, plus music by New Attraction, Fifth Avenue, Galflex and DJ Lolly. Streaming online via Facebook and YouTube. £5 online contribution, £20 for VIP live attendance with limited spaces. Please call 07956 041 746 for more info. All proceeds will go to the Legacy Foundation Centre.